Hey there, friendlies. How's up? Welcome to the 12th of November episode of my glorious live stream. What, not the 11th? Well, as some of you know, there we go. That's better. Some of you know we had a wicked power outage yesterday that lasted from 7:19 in the morning until 9:40 at night. So, what a day. What a life. What an amazing day. Welcome to the Beer, Blades, and Bushcraft live, the Bevies, Blades, and Bushcraft live stream, where we have bevies. We have blades. I should have done this before. And we may discuss some bushcrafty stuff. We may not. Who the hell knows? Yesterday I was going to do a whole sort of Remembrance Day themed live stream. Tonight I just don't know. I got to get this sweater off. Froze all day in this cold, dark house yesterday, and now I'm feeling a little toasty. So let me get rid of the sweater. If you're watching us time shifted to tomorrow or next week or whatever, thank you for watching. Thank you for commenting in the doobly-doo down below. I do love seeing those comments arrive. And I do love knowing, oh, now it's working. The hell? Oh, no, there it goes. I got to plug this in, but I've lost the plug. If at any point tonight you really love what's happening, then for land's sakes, drop me a smiley thumb. If at any point tonight you really kind of think this whole thing stinks, that's all right. The frowny thumb works just as well. And if you'd like to take a more active role in supporting the channel, maybe helping me buy a generator, just kidding, hit the join button down there. Well, right-click the join button right there. Open it in another tab. Check out the 2 tiers of membership that are available to you for your hard-earned cash. Water. Beautiful water. And, just love life. Okay? Just love life. It's a suggestion from me to you. Love life. I have a hard time doing that sometimes. But working together, we shall get through this horrifying thing that we call life. So let's see who's hanging. Who's hanging? Yeah, I had a whole Remembrance Day theme thing sort of planned, and then it just sort of seems pointless on the 12th. We got Mr. Raspberry Rock popping in at 9:01 just as I hit the go button on this. I was late setting it up because my daughter and I were looking through some tests, identifying places where she has some identifiable struggles. And then I noticed it was 8:59. We got Mr. Peanut Trucker popping in right after. So those two boys are both channel heroes and channel mods. Let me take a sip of my tea. Such a good drink. And then we got Mr. Country Boy popping in saying hello there, Mr. Jess. Country Boy is also a channel hero and a channel. Sorry, Peanut Trucker is a channel mod. Sorry, buddy. Oops. Welcome to my ASMR video. People saying hi to one another. Then we got, Tenenbaum popping in. How you doing, mister? Tenenbaum is a channel hero and a channel mod. So many mods, so many great mods. Peanut Trucker is driving and listening. That's all right, mister. Get to where you're going safe. Are you headed to a truck stop tonight, or I imagine you are looking for a place to stop and sleep for a little while, order some food? Now that I know that you can actually do that to a truck stop. I never knew that before. Learn something new every day, and any day I go to bed less stupid than I woke up is a good day. David Evans popping in, saying hi to his favorite peeps and peeplets. Excuse me. Me. David Evans, by the way, is also a channel hero and a channel mod. And just sort of, so many people saying hi. It's great. Love it. I thought we might have had a kind of a lonely little stream here, but we got Mr. Steve Grounds popping in as well. Hi, Steve. Steve is a channel hero. Oh, I forgot to show that on screen. But now I have shown it on screen. So I don't know if we're going to have a full crew tonight because it's It's weird when I change my nights, like from Tuesday to Wednesday or Thursday, because not everyone can get here on either of those nights. But it wasn't my fault. Last night at 9, I was getting a hotel room. Got into the hotel room, unpacked everything. It was like 9:40ish. My wife checked the Hydro-Quebec website, and as she was looking at it, it just suddenly went boop, power's back on. So I came home to verify that, and it was back on. The heat was on, the glorious heat was on, and everything. So we packed right back up. I went down to the front desk, checked right back out. The front desk girl kind of like, I said, the power's back on. The madame thinks it'll be easier in the morning if we're at home. I said, okay, have a good night. And I said, thank you very much. And I left feeling kind of silly. Destiny popping in. How you doing? Destiny is always welcome. She is a channel hero and a channel influencer. Since I made that cocktail that she had suggested, I made a special syrup to make that cocktail in my last members stream. No, I accidentally put that one up on my whiskey channel, I think. Boom, boom, boom. Country Boy says, what took out the power to your neighborhood? My neighborhood, man, there were 340,000 households in southern Quebec without power. We had 25 centimeters of snow drop, followed immediately by freezing rain. Forget about it. There was a 6-inch branch down. But I said 6 to 8 houses down that way. Boom, right out into the boulevard. Branches down everywhere. While I was busy missing my bus to work that morning, I saw a lot of arborist crews going by, some Hydro-Quebec trucks swooping by, some ambulances, of course. There's always something when we get hit like that. Destiny says that Christy will be a bit late. Yes, she did tell me she was going to be like a half hour to 40 minutes later. Said, I hope you have a doctor's note for that. And she said, well, actually, I was like, oh, no, I was kidding, man. The legend lives on. Destiny says, I need to invest in a generator. Yeah, it's just money. It's just money. And we're getting the windows redone. And that's like 17 grand. And then we need to have the roof redone. And we have foundation work. And we want to install a new heat pump. And Cody's got braces. And yes, I would like to invest in a generator at some point. I just don't know when that will be. You guys remember that power bank that I reviewed a year ago? That sort of sat down here unused for a while. And so between power outages, the night before last, I plugged it in to power it up, and nope, forget it. It was like, nuh-uh, you ignored me for a year. You're not getting anything out of me, so it ain't powering up. So I just have a big, heavy paper weight up there. It's plugged in right now, but I'm not seeing any action, so that's disappointing because I reached for that thing immediately. Nope. So I do feel let down by that. But you know what I didn't feel let down by? These guys. All day. I'm sitting right here doing some writing, doing some stuff, blanket on. And those lanterns keeping the brightness on, keeping the room light enough for me to work by. Not work by. I mean, I couldn't get any work done. None of the digital stuff or the modem or anything was working. And that's the thing about postmodern work, is that everything is hosted. in the cloud, right? So if I'm not connected, I can't get my work done. I mean, the beauty of it is if my computer goes walkabout, the work is saved off site, you know? But anyway. Let me see. Where was we? 8.5 inches of snow and ice. Is that what it is? 25 centimeters? Yeah. 8.5. Good to know. I'm removing my socks so I can get nice and comfortable. My Darth Vader socks. Those were a gift from the missus because she's a freaking genius. She bought me two, Darth Vader and C-3PO. I was like, woman, where's my Stormtrooper? Where's my Boba Fett? Where's my Y-Wing fighter? Apparently, Dancing with the Stars, Dancing with the Stars wins every time. I do not know what that's in reference to. Oh, is that what where Christy is? Country Boy says, freezing rain, gross. Glad I live out west. I think I've only seen that a few times. We've seen it a bunch of times. We've seen it enough that there are large sections of the province where the wires are underground now, but not everywhere, evidently. I'm looking for what? Hold on, let me just go back. Okay, Destiny. Legend lives on. You need to invest in a generator. 8.5 inches. Steve Grounds. By the way, hello. Freezing rain, gross. Steve, Dancing with the Stars, wins every time. David says, Destiny Fitzgerald, please keep those Alberta Clippers to yourself. I don't know. And then us Berta folk love to share. I have no idea. Then Scott, hey, Scott, how are you doing? How about solar instead of a generator? I would love it. I would love it. Who's getting an ad right now? Because I'm getting an ad. It's a skippable ad, so I'm going to skip it. If you're getting an ad right now, you're not going to hear me ask that question. But yeah, Scott, I would love to invest in solar. In the province of Quebec, we pay so much less comparatively than pretty much everyone else that the sort of your return on investment is really long, but we get our power knocked out often enough that I could probably push a little bit. I mean, after getting the windows and the roof and the foundation fixed and the heat pump and the braces for the elder stuff, after all that, I might be able to sort of push it. If I make it a let's not worry about the power being out rather than, but we'll get our money back in 10 or 15 years kind of thing. That's a little harder to push. But yeah, I would love it. I think solar is hot. I think it is sexy. And I want in on it. But it's also cool in that, like, it doesn't matter what hydro decides to charge in the future. We can be like, yeah, okay, whatever. I mean, look, Hydro-Quebec is a crown corporation, so they're not allowed to make a profit, right? They can charge enough to sort of cover their costs and everything, but they can't make a profit. So that protects us from, like, how is it Hydro One in Ontario? Like, what are you guys paying for? Because they deregulated, so they can just take whatever the hell they want. This is boring, but anyways, yes, I would love to put solar in for sure. Oh, you're in Southern California? 80 degrees freedom, 26.6. That is nice and hot. A little hotter than I generally like things, but where I am right now, it's -3, I believe. Oh, it's actually gone up to 1 degree Celsius. 1 degree. Jim is popping. Everything is Boba Fett in your house. I know that. What are your thoughts on The Mandalorian, the series? What are your thoughts on the Book of Boba Fett, the series? I have thoughts on it, and I feel that like after Andor and the Mandalorian, stuff like the Book of Boba Fett was a real step down. It started really, really strong. I felt well, it started stronger, but anyway. David has a generator. I think Russell has one as well. Yeah, it's just I don't want to have the conversation until I'm ready to start throwing money around. You know, like right now, I can get all the information I want, but I mean, it's useless at the moment. But I'm tired of losing our power. And it's not like I'm not going to show you guys a map of my neighborhood because I don't want people to know my neighborhood. But it's weird that it's like this stretch of our street, and then like the houses on the next street, this stretch, and then cross over to the next, and then like there's a park, and it's sort of a chunk of the park, but not all of it. It goes around the park, and then like a whole block of short streets. You know, I would love to know what the grid looks like in this neighborhood. Not just socks. No, I know. Canadian is stopping into wave and leave. That's all right. Oh, and leave a thumbs up. Thank you very much, sir. Who else is dropping me a thumbs up, by the way? I want to know. Jim says, see you all in 20 minutes while I drive home, still at work. All right. All right. We'll see you soon. Okay, so Scott got an ad there as well. Okay. The ad I got was skippable, so I just skipped it so that I can look lovingly at myself on YouTube. Hi. Whatevs. Destiny says, I think solar is hot. Oh, is that a quotable quote? Love solar. I would like a mix of solar and a small wind turbine, but like one of those helix shaped ones, not the fan, but like every now and again, a couple of companies come out with a helix shaped wind turbine, and then they go out of business. It's like God, because the thing about those helix shaped ones is that they can take over in just a light breeze. They don't need a big honking wind, and we don't get a whole lot of big honking wind in this neighborhood. So I would love one of those little helix, or one of those like there's a bunch of alternative wind turbine designs that work in much lower wind than having a big fan on top of your house now. Excuse me. Destiny says to Peanut Trucker, happy November 10th birthday to your mom. You're a little late there. Well, Destiny says, can you not sell back to the grid in Quebec and recoup solar costs almost immediately or not allowed? So for the longest time, there was no freaking way. But I believe that has changed, and I believe you can now sell back to the grid. But here's the thing. We have a heated saltwater pool. So during the summer, we ain't selling back anything, right? Although it would be nice to lessen the hydro bill. In the winter, we're heating. So I don't think it would be really cool if we could just shoot some stuff back. I don't want to make that. Okay, here's what I'm going to say. I don't want that to be part of the equation going into a solar setup. What I would like is that to be like a bonus if it happens. Like, oh, my land, we're selling power back. Sweet. High fives, glass of wine all around, family's happy. I don't want to use that as an argument for solaring the house, and then because we have a heated saltwater pool and this and that, that it doesn't come to pass. Because then it's like It's a bémol. Uh, it's like a strike, a strike against it, you know. So part of how we were going to get our money back isn't happening. That's what I never want. If it's a glorious little surprise one day that, hey, look, we actually sold some power back, that's fine. That's fine. But but yes, you can now. If I'm correct about that, you can now sell back to the grid. Just looking at the comments here. Oh, it looks like I actually forgot to put that. No, I did put that on. Then I took it off. Sorry, glitching a little bit. Jim feels that Disney has kind of ruined Boba. The book is not what I'd hoped. It was not what I'd hoped either. Is it over now, or is there another season coming out? But I can guarantee you, riding a frickin' Rancor, the crew of kids is zipping around on scooters like a bunch of mods, like space quadrophenia. I was like, this is really not where I wanted this show to go, because I do feel that it started well. I do feel that it started well, but I just did I show that? Like, am I showing stuff and then clicking it off too quickly? Hey, there's Beto. How you doing, Mr. Beto? How are things where you are living tonight? Why am I bleeding? The hell's going on here? Hold on a second, people. The hell's happening, man? What's going on? Let's just give that a little wipey McWipe. Oh, I think I knocked a scab off on something. Well, okay. That was unexpected and kind of funny. I mean, the amount of times I'm like, why am I bleeding? It's like, it's crazy. But anyways, hi, Beto. How are you doing? How are things down there? Is it nice and hot or what? Did you get swamped by a storm? Oh, Destiny says, I'm so glad you're okay. Did the storm hit your area? So maybe there was. So I guess I'm remembering correct that. So I guess I'm remembering. So I guess my recall is correct that there was a storm. David says, I left a description of your generator setup on Discord general chat. I use a Generalink and a 10 kilowatt generator running only on propane. And that's because propane doesn't go bad, right? And the Generalink, is that so that you can, is that a remote start, or is that, oh, Jesus. I mean, come on, man. I just put my hand on my leg. Always something with Jesse. Bam, 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 bam. Tenenbaum has a setup where you sell back to the grid at one of your places. Too bad this place is totally dark half the time. Right, exactly. So I'm a guy who used to be really careful about making sure all the lights were off, in rooms that I wasn't in and all this stuff. The advent of LED bulbs has made me really calm down on that, because the difference I was getting in an all LED bulb household versus when it was all whatever the previous generation of bulbs was called, was nowhere near as, even then, look, turning off all the lights, way smaller effect than not leaving all your power blocks plugged in, not leaving your TV on, like I used to, because a TV these days is what they call a vampire, right? Even when it's off, it's still just sleeping. So I used to unplug my TV when I wasn't using it, and all this stuff. I mean, But the thing is, I was not moneyed, right? So I'm just giving you guys a very simple aperçu of what I used to do. Like I was turning and unplugging everything. Just weird way to live. Just a weird way to live, but it made financial sense. And the thing is, I was living in Quebec, so we pay almost nothing compared to so many of you. But anyway, I would love to be selling back for sure. That would be sweet because that would definitely speed up the payback for sure. Beto says nothing serious here, just rain and some normal wind. Well, that's good to know. So you're all safe and sound. Squirrel. Yeah, I know. Sorry. Back on the Country Boy says I saw you chew your finger. Yeah, but I wasn't bleeding from the finger. I'm bleeding from the leg. Did I hit a button? I can't hear anything. Is anything else unable to hear me? If you guys can't hear me, I'm gonna top it. I'm gonna absolutely flip the table. Okay, sweet. You can hear me. All right, good. So Jim, it must just be you. Maybe your headphones have died or something. Speaking of headphones dying, my AirPod Pros have finally bit the biscuit, bit the dust, bitten the dust, bit the biscuit. Is that real? Or am I making that up? Moving right along. Scott says, here in Wisconsin, a city 25 miles away had 13 inches of snow and you had none. 13 inches? I'm just doing a back of the brain calculation and coming up with the wrong number, but it's still a lot. Because that must be like 30 odd centimeters. That's pretty big. I was you. You restarted YouTube. Okay, good to know. Glad that you've got the glad you got the goods flowing again. You're hearing the dulcet tones of my voice, speaking universal truths, international secrets, giving out vital spy information, names, doxing deep undercover agents. Yeah, all on my new espionage ASMR channel. I don't know why I keep doing that. David Evans says, a Generalink is an automatic switch that connects directly to your power meter. You connect your generator to Generalink and turn on and off the loads you want from your panel. No transfer switch. So that's ease of use for sure. Is it expensive though? Is that an expensive sort of upgrade? Destiny says, when we reno, we have a list of must-haves, including being able to unplug the stove without having to pull it out. That sounds fabulous. We cannot, because everything, like all of our stuff is built right in. Like our stove is built into our cooktop is built into the countertop. Our oven is built into the wall. That probably sounded really bougie, didn't it? Good old tea. Oh, I did not turn on my tea warming not cozy coaster thing. My little electric. Words are really tough, okay, people? Oh, you're not turning on? Did you get blown in the power outage? But that was so... I know exactly. Give me a second. Yes, had to turn on my UPS. Fun that all this technology works, even though the UPS was off. But that's okay. Yep. That means that all my stuff here is plugged into the wrong side of my UPS. Yeah, your friend was out plowing for 16 hours. Ugh. Nope. Yeah, I love this, Destiny. Getting to the back of the dryer to easily clean out the vent in the back of the dryer is also a must. Yeah, absolutely. Whenever I have to pull out that dryer, it's always a real chore, especially because like the little hose, or not the hose, but the the thing that goes to the pipe, it's not long enough for me to pull it out very far without it just going pop, and I'm like, oh no. Tenenbaum says your stove should be on a dedicated circuit, so you can probably already do that at your panel. I believe you're right. I believe you are right. Excuse me. 33 centimeters. That's a lot of snow. Yeah, check your panel because I'm pretty sure he's right about that. Sorry, Steve. Sorry. Nobody heard, right? It's just between you 13 and me. It's not going to get out on the internet or anything, is it? Hey, there's Carol. How are you doing? How's the weather? Right now, yes, we have 2 fridges. I guess it's not right now. Yes, we have 2 fridges. We have a very small one that we bought when the big one sort of died on us because we're tired of losing like a few $100 of food every time that stupid fridge goes on us. So like 2 fridge deaths paid for that fridge, I guess. Or you know what I'm saying. It'll pay for itself when the other fridge goes twice without us losing everything. But yeah, that adds to the hydro as well, for sure. For sure. Quotable quote. Okay. I don't remember what I said. David Evans says that a Generalink is about up 1.5K. Must be installed by your local power authority. So it's actually more than the dual fuel generator. Okay. So you got a Champion 10 kilowatt. I wonder what I would need. Because I have a massive interest in not freezing. And like I'd like a couple of lights, or the fridge. The fridge. For sure, the freaking fridge. Destiny's got an ad. Okay. Russell's back didn't take as long as you thought. That's good to know. It's always good to know. Destiny likes the idea of connecting the heater to a generator as well, as per Discord discussion. Yes, I saw part of the I saw part of the. I kind of wish I had shaven before coming online here. This looks terrible. Pero is saying hi to Russell. Russell says, I knew there was a problem when Junebug came inside and immediately threw up a ton of crap on the floor. Whoops. Uh-oh. Destiny's asking if Junebug is better now or if it just happened. Okay, so yeah, your 10 kilowatt runs the whole home. That's cool. That's good. Might run ours too because our home is smaller than the one I was at in your place. That's a stinking lie because we have a basement and 2 floors, or a floor and a half, because the top one is like this because of the roof. Peanut Trucker says, no shave November. My beard is coming in nice. I thought you had a beard. Give me a second, folks. I'll be right back. Sorry about that, people. The washer sounded like it was shaking itself. Excuse me, to pieces. So let me see what was going on with that dog. Hold on. Oh, the deer fell down. Junebug felt the call of the wild and chomped on it for a while. Oh, whoops. I guess her tummy wasn't ready for that kind of call. Did you lose a lot of meat? Canadian sort of popped in earlier just to sort of drop a thumbs up. But I didn't see an actual update. Marcus in town. This way. Yep. Do you see what I see? I had it there just in case I required light again. And as I said on the Book of Faces much earlier today, happy birthday. And I believe Destiny is doing the same damn thing. You say it's your birthday. Russell's asking David, that's the dual fuel? What did you pay for that? I think he said. I would. So I've done a little bit of research into this, right? Like I'm not at the point where I've chosen like my favorite model or anything, but I think dual fuel is the way I would go. I want something that'll burn propane because it doesn't go bad, and there is enough time between power outages that the gas would go bad, I think. So I like the dual fuel idea. Why? Stop it, Discord, for God's sakes. If 10 kilowatts will run his entire house, it would probably run about half of ours. We wouldn't care about a TV or this computer or anything, but I would want heat, and I would want lights, and I would want the fridge and maybe the microwave to run. If I can get those, I'm fine. I'm fine. And Junebug is fine now. That's great. How much deer got munched on though? So like, because like you're gonna lose the parts of the meat that she munched on, right? Oh, didn't lose any meat. Looked like all fat and the crap that gets cut away before you get to the meat. Okay, well that's cool. Are you keeping the skin, by the way? You're gonna tan that? You gonna make some leather chaps? I don't know why that's where I went with that. I don't know why that's. What's going on, Jess? I often think I should learn to just write these scripts and just read them, because in the live stream that I did this week, the cocktails, I totally tripped myself up and giggled for God knows how long. Anyway. Oh, Destiny says we need to tip it to cheer Marcus's birthday. I've got okay. Oh, I was about to say, do you mean before 10 or at 10? But it's 9:45. So I will pour something in this glass. Let's pour a little of the Craig Ellicky 13. Big, beautiful, filthy drab. 46% alcohol. The Craig Ellicky. Or maybe the Two Brewers. No, I had the Two Brewers recently. I'm going to go for the Craig Ellicky because I've got 2 of these and I'm never going to get another one of those. So I'm going to keep that. That wasn't a very loud boop. Boop. Yeah, we're, oh, shite. It's okay. I will not be having 2 drams tonight then. So, I mean, let's stick to doing it at 10 p.m. At 10, somebody tell me when we're at blah. Yep. That's exactly how that came out of my mouth. Somebody tell me when we're at exactly 10 o'clock. And we will do the cheersing to Marcus's birthday at that point. Okay? Okay. David says, it is dual fuel. You have it plumbed directly into your main propane. Oh, okay. And you got it at Canadian Tire. Okay, that's good to know. I guess you're not going to have a link for... I've got an ad rolling right now. And it's for a stupid horror film, so I'm going to skip it. David, I guess you're not going to have a link for that, eh? I'll take a look for it. You said it's a Champion 1.2? No, 1.2K. You said it's a Champion 10 kilowatt. Okay. Electric start, but no remote start. Can you, like, is a remote... Oh, it smells so good. Wait. Whoa. It's only 9:45, Jess. Or do we drink a little early in honor of Marcus's birthday? Where's Christy? Should be arriving about now because she said she'd be about a half hour to 45 minutes late. Why don't we wait until Christy's here, tell her to dram up, and then we'll have a drink for Marcus's birthday. Oh yeah, so can you get like a remote start module or something that you can just attach to one of these? Or like, do certain brands have it and certain ones don't? Is it an upcharge that you can get? Like, or you don't have a remote start. You don't have a remote start. That sounds great, David. Get your gold star. David says, my furnace probably runs off 120 volt, 15 amp circuit. We don't have a furnace. It's all whatever those little electric heaters on the not baseboard heaters. They're kind of up on the side of the wall. I guess you can't see it, can you? No, you can't. Hold on, if I get this out of the way. So I don't remember what they are. I'm gonna try to keep the skin if you can. I would absolutely. When I used to hunt, I always wanted to keep the skin, and it never worked out. But like, I'd like to be able to just make some of these for myself instead of spending the money that these cost. You know, especially because there are a couple of things I would do a little differently. Hold on, sorry. There's a whole bunch of stuff I would love to do with leather, but it's just so expensive to buy leather. You know. Yeah, I know. Anyways, I was more thinking that he'd give them to Ray for you, Destiny. Deerskin chaps for... Oh, fuck it. I'll take up line dancing next. I would love to have discovered a way to tan or treat whatever a deer hide that kept the hair on, like, and put it on my bed or something, just so I could, because I love the way it feels. But I know that the hair it all comes out eventually. You know, it's a waste. The hair just comes on out. So why not just veg tan or whatever? Russell line dancing would make for great content, especially if he's line dancing to his version of a song. You know? Yeah, exactly. That would make a hell of a special feature for sure. Oh man, no, that's you'd have to give the entire context to make that a quotable quote, but that's good stuff right there. That's quality. Chris says, I think it's very thoughtful of me to postpone the live show until Marcus's birthday so we can all celebrate on his day. Yeah, I totally planned it. Totally planned it. I planned the weather event and everything. I was like, dear God, sorry to disturb you, but drink early. Okay. Well, we're 10 minutes early, but um I want Christy to be here. Marcus says don't break the rules. Well, Christy's not here yet, so I guess we're waiting another 10. Shit don't matter. Oh yeah, that's true actually, Russell. Like just a switch, like a wall switch. Yeah, I hadn't even thought of that, but that makes sense. That you mean wait for Christy. Yeah. Yeah, we'll wait until 10. She got to be here by 10 though, because otherwise I ain't waiting longer than that. She's gonna miss the whole thing. She's gonna miss the whole thing, and then I'm gonna be all hurt. I'll be like, Christy, you broke my heart. You hear that sound? Tinkle. That's the sound of my heart shattering. How could you miss the live stream? How could you miss the stream? What could be more important than a live stream? Life? The universe? Everything? None of these. All these. Moving right along. Marcus says you can get kissed, but it's quite depth for the non-DIYer. Yeah, so maybe I'm not, as the OGs among you know, I fear electricity. I don't do electrics work. So maybe I would just have to end up paying someone to do it. Radiant heat. Yeah, they're I don't remember what the hell are they called. They're essentially baseboard electric heaters, but they come part way up the wall. I don't remember what they're called. They plant. They're called des plantes in French. I have no idea what they're called in English, but hey, at least now I remember what they're called in French because that is useful on this live stream, right? Yeah. Love that lantern. Whoop. Huh? Right there? Is that what you're talking about? Is that what you're talking about? That one right there? Huh? Is that the one you're talking about? Hmm. 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 It's a very nice. Destiny says, Tenenbaum, what is this? Tenenbaum, what is the Swedish phrase for cheers? Isn't it skål? 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 Marcus says, you just have to be careful with inexpensive non-inverter generators because they have a high THD that is hard on sensitive electronics. I do not know a damn thing about such things. A damn thing. Deer hide needs to be brain tanned. Well, that tells me that I will not be tanning my own deer hide. That's for sure. I love it. That's what I was looking for with that comment. You can buy some solution to tan the hide and keep the hair on. I have some somewhere here. Probably have to buy some new stuff. Yeah, I would love to. Like I would even have done it just to have it on the wall, just so I could look at it and like I would absolutely have to touch it on the way past on occasion. I'm a very texture oriented. But I love the look of like a whitetails hide. Hey, there's Mr. Mike. How you doing? How's the weather down there? You okay? I'm gonna go out on a limb and say still no camping because the teaching life is a busy life. Yeah, it is school. School. Whereas around here in Quebecois, much like the English, we say chin chin. In the circuit that my band plays, we say slanjavan, or just slanja. Or if we're in front of a large group of people on a stage, we say sociable, because that is the Eastern Canadian thing to say. Whereas slanja is sort of a pan-Celtic, sort of Scotland, Ireland kind of thing. Yeah, country boy is careful, Destiny. I know. It's so funny. I love that. Um, there is a dual fuel champion 10 kilowatt on for 1.3. You can plumb it directly into your house's natural gas supply. I will text you the link. My house does not have a gas supply. There are entire sections of this town that are plumbed for natural gas, but not my house. Not this neighborhood. We have electricity only. Hey, Christy's here. 5 minutes to the drinking of the booze for Marcus's birthday. So, Christy, I do suggest you get yourself a little dram going there. You have 5 minutes, 5 minute warning. How good my wise choice? Always leave the electricity to the pros that are licensed and insured and have a good resume of work. Yep, yeah, because I blew myself off a ladder once, and yeah, no. Russell's already starting. I see, saying cheers. Wait, we're gonna do a cheers together. God, we got to do a cheers together for Marcus because it's his birthday. Hey, Skip's here. Please tell me that your heat is from a hot water boiler and not electric. It's electric. We do not have a hot water boiler. What we had was an oil furnace. No, the previous owner had an oil furnace, but it's all electric now. In fact, there's still the duct work from the furnace throughout this house, but nope. I mean, it's so much cheaper to run a full electric heating than oil or gas in Quebec. Christy's here. Just tell her about the cheers at 10. Yes, Christy, 10 o'clock. So in 3 minutes, we're doing a cheers for Marcus. We'll do a countdown or whatever. I'll just sort of hold up my glass and say, happy birthday to Marcus. And you can say school or cheers or chin chin or prost or slanja or whatever. Whatever. Or happy birthday, Marcus. Excuse me. Everyone's saying hi to Skip. Everyone's saying hi to everyone. Cold down here in Florida. So what would you say cold is? Like right now, I'm at 1 degree Celsius. Maybe I can get a generator that runs off electricity. You're a funny boy. Peanut Trucker says that he'll drink a root beer for Marcus in 30 minutes when he's parked. Got to get down the mountain. Be right back. Okay. See you soon, mister. We're not going to see you, but I mean, speak to you soon? Whatever. You know what I'm saying. Oh, my lad. Why do I get caught up in this stuff? Ugh. Yeah, I definitely wish I'd shave him. This is Destiny says unto me, what? No gas in your house? Is that like a city idea or logistics when the infrastructure was installed? I don't know. The older parts of the town, a lot of them are plumbed for natural gas, but this entire neighborhood is just straight up electric. There might be like the main gas lines because I don't know, but it's just electric. Just electric. You don't think I have one already? That is cute. Well, we're doing cheers to Marcus in 1 minute. Okay, does everyone have a drinky poo? Everyone's got a little dram, little glass, something boozy or not. You can have tea, you can have juice, you can have pop, soda, as you guys in the States say. You can have milk, you can have water. It is technically, at least in my part of the country, considered to be bad luck to cheers with water, but whatevs. The world is ending. Who cares about bad luck? Come on, 2159. Let me see 2200. Give me 2200. Yes, our electricity is much. 2200. And somebody's texting me. Oh no, that's so. This drink is to Marcus for his birthday, 50th, I believe. Are you the one? Are you the 5 and the 0 together, meaning 50? Happy birthday, Marcus, and to everyone else. I say slanja. It is so good. Big, beautiful, brash, dirty, fruity, green apple, tons of vanilla, caramel, a little butterscotch, something biscuity. That's the barley. The oak is so present. It's American oak, which is where the vanilla and caramel notes come from, because it's an ex-bourbon barrel. That's also like a plum note there. For the price, the Craig Ellicky 13 hits so far above its weight that it's straight up unfair. One of my all-time favorites, for sure. Absolutely. It's just legendary. Oh, no. Wait to cheers until Peanut Trucker's down the mountain. I did not see that. We can do it again. You think I'm going to be finished this dram before then? Now hold on now. There's a lot of attitude being slung around but with Country Boy and Christy. What the hell? Well, you got to be assassinating my character. Character assassinating me. Or my character. What's that? Everyone's saying happy birthday to Marcus. Let's help him pick out a cane. I recommend maple. Maple's good. Maple's good. Russell says if he doesn't use the brakes, he gets there sooner. True. Like Mike said, 30s yesterday and 40s today. So that's 30s degree freedom. So that's around the just above freezing, or just below it, right? 32 is freezing, I believe. Excuse me. What's wrong with oak? I think that oak is very porous, so it will seep up, sop up, absorb like the salt and stuff from the road. But Russell just says that oak is heavier, and you're getting too old for that shit. Fair. Someone doesn't mind spending some coin, eh? Nice titanium cane. That would be light, that's for sure. Jim says, pour 2 and you can do a belated birthday for me. Ah, okay. All right. Christy says, slancha. Apparently, he's a Scorpio, so he'll never need a cane. I did not know that Scorpios did not need canes. Yeah, we should have. Okay, hold on. I'm just gonna put another drop in, so I'm technically pouring a new dram, so that we can also cheers to Jim. That was just a tiny drop, a tiny. Jim, happy belated birthday. Everyone say Slanja. Happy birthday, Jim. Epic pour. Scott says bottoms up. I'd be like Cusack. Finish the whole thing. Then I'd be like, oh. 46% alcohol by volume. Marcus does say thanks, everyone. Well, I thought Jess was going somewhere else at the beginning of that description. I'm not sure what you're talking about, but Destiny was going there too, so I don't know what. Kutchaway says, it took us off on so many tangents the other night. We didn't even talk about the Tabor corn. What did you think? Oh yeah, you're so right. In fact, where the hell is that? Did I put the Tabor corn away? I think I put it away so that I wouldn't drink it all. Yeah, that's a big dram too. I mean, but that's 50.5% ABV, right? So that's high octane. It's absolutely bourbon. Absolutely. It's got all the notes. It's got all the character. It's produced in the same way. It fulfills every rule to be bourbon except the fact that it's not made in the United States. So good. Good notes, but I should modulate. I hate modulation, as you well know. Since when do we get ads on the chat box? Yeah, I just saw that for the first time just now, in fact. I don't know what the hell's going on. I don't know. It makes no sense. We really just don't know. We don't know. We really don't know. To Marcus, yes, to Marcus, and to you, to the friends, to all the friends, to everyone who's got a birthday going right now or recent or blah. Everyone's still saying cheers to Marcus. Oh, was it? Uh-oh. Wow, I've already yawned and it's only 10:06. Last Thursday the 6th, he turned 61 years old. Oh, Christy's going to be turning 60 in March. How do you feel about that? 60 the new 50? Yeah, mine too. What's that quote I keep telling you guys from Leonard Cohen? I ache in the places where I used to play. I don't know why this is open on my desk. I sometimes open it to open. I sometimes use it to open like new bottles of whiskey, but I don't have a new bottle of whiskey here. In 1915, there was a line of the French army and the Canadian army squared up against the German army, trench. And when the wind turned just right, the German troops opened all these canisters, and it was the first chemical attack of World War One. The troops that were dug in on the French line and the Canadian line, like right next to them, saw this weird gaseous cloud creeping towards them. And when it hit, and it was heavier than the air, so you're down in a trench, it caused crazy panic in the French lines because suddenly people were not able to breathe, and like their the air in their lungs was destroying their lungs, and they were coughing up blood and all this stuff. And the Canadian troops right next to them, for that part of the line, they made these. Look, everyone was suffering, but someone somewhere started making sort of faux gas masks by pissing on their handkerchiefs and holding them to their noses. And as the French troops sort of fell back, um, the Canadian regiment sort of filled the gap, ran in, and because gas came, and then through the gas came all the Germans in these gas masks, and through some bloody miracle, which was the Canadian way in World War One, they held off the Germans for a long time until reinforcements could arrive, even with their buddies dying and retching next to them. And that was the first chemical attack of modern warfare. I wanted to talk about that yesterday because it was a big thing. You know, the Canadian Army in World War One was us really being born as a nation, because from that, then you go on to Vimy Ridge, which very big in the Canadian country. Much of the country believes that Vimy Ridge is where Canada became an independent nation, and then Passchendaele. All these places where the French and the British just couldn't pull off a victory, and they would just throw the Canucks at it, and by hook or by crook, the Canadian Army would pull it off. It's only a very slight exaggeration that a large chunk of the Geneva Conventions were written because of the actions of the Canadian Army. Because parts of it were, absolutely. Canadian Army was famous for being very kind to German civilians or Italian civilians or whatever, but utterly savage to the enemy troops. It's not like, when you hear about along some of the trenches, Canadian troops throwing canned goods to the Germans for like 3 nights in a row, and then on the 4th night, when the Germans had been trained to come running out when these cans arrived, that they threw grenades. That stuff is real, and that stuff is now considered highly illegal. I'm not saying that to show how badass my boys were or anything, because I feel that it's good that shit like that is illegal. Anyways, I had a whole bunch of stories like that I wanted to talk about last night. But that battle I was telling you about with the poison gas, that was the first time a New World Army beat an Old World Army, like a colonial army beat a European major power. And from Vimy Ridge on, the British just kept putting our boys at the front, the front of the attack. And they did not lose. They did not fail to obtain an objective for the rest of the war. That's kind of cool for a country that was only like 9 million people at the time. The losses were crazy. An entire generation. I shudder to think of where science and art would be if an entire generation of Canadians and British and French and Germans and and some Americans. How many Einsteins were in those corpses, or how many fabulous artists, how many Thompsons were there, how many, it pisses me off that we're still not over this addiction to slaughtering each other over selfishness. But hey, whatever. I don't have all the stories I wanted to talk about. So I was just like, I did have stuff prepared, and I was just proving it to you by giving you a couple of the stories that I was thinking about. But yeah, the Germans were particularly afraid of Canadian soldiers in both world wars, because Germans would rather be captured by Americans or British than Canadians. They were treated better. The Canadians had this habit of just sort of like killing them. Just even so, like, both of my grandfathers came back. One worked on a Lancaster, the other was in the army. They both came back, but several of their friends are underground in Europe or at the bottom of the North Atlantic or the English Channel. And like the one who was in the army told me that it wasn't official, but we virtually never took prisoners. Unless there was like there were instances in which his regiment did not take prisoners. Anyway, I'm just saying that because of what Country Boy said. Yeah, that's true. The Germans were very scared of knowing that the line in front of them was, Princess Patricia's Canadian Light Infantry or the Canadian Black Watch or something. Hold on. I'm just scrolling back to see what we was talking about. Happy birthday, Christy. You don't look 60. It's not her birthday yet. Why you gotta be so early? Oh, I see. It's because we should cheers everyone who has a birthday this year. Keep that bottle ready, Jess. Yeah, everyone who's got a birthday this year. Let's just keep on cheersing. Oh, I've got an advert. Who else has an ad? You're not going to hear me say that. I don't know why I just did that. You don't know how you feel about it, eh? So, I mean, I'm 52. And the only reason why I think about it at all is because I think of the opportunities that I'm not living right now and how those opportunities are becoming lesser because my knees are not what they used to be. When I finally, at this point, if I finally get my canoe, it's going to be a big ticket item because it's going to have to be the lightest canoe I can find. That's where I start to feel what my age means. There are fewer days ahead than there were behind, to misquote Captain Picard. And what that means in my case is that I don't even watch my favorite bushcraft YouTubers anymore because the fact that I'm not getting into the woods is just, it weighs on my mind. So watching these guys just gives me anxiety. I know it's stolen the enjoyment I get from the segment of YouTube that is the reason I started watching YouTube. It's the bushcraft, it's the camping, the canoeing, the axes, the stuff that I love, and I can't watch it right now because I'm not getting into the woods. Scott says, I ache in the places I never knew I had. That's even better. That's even better. Marcus says, I think Jess should have a shot for all our birthdays in the past year tonight. I don't have that many shot glasses. You mean one shot per birthday in the last year? Yeah, nope. On the bright side, it's currently only 18 shots. I got to be up tomorrow. Christy says, I rented an Airbnb for 8 days for the week of your birthday. It's in the mountains, and God willing, there will be snow. Sounds good to me. I like it. Marcus says, snow is overrated. I like snow. I didn't used to, but I like it. Yeah, and Christy says, I want to see the snow. I never get it. But you've got mountains there, right? And it sort of snows up in the mountains, is it? Is that what? Yeah, I like the snow, not the melting. I think that is legit. For sure. Oh no, everything just jumped. Destiny says, truth, that was old school, don't fuck with us. Absolutely. I don't understand this. Just should be made into a sausage. I bet it tastes great. Sausage, like a sausage with whiskey in it. Yeah, no more black blood for you. David says, in World War II, the Vendus took no prisoners. The Vendus, probably the most storied of the French-Canadian regiments. Yeah. I don't remember what regiment my grandpa was in. I don't think he was a Vendu, but I don't remember. Tea. I read a 2-volume um, history of the Canadian Army in World War One. World War One is my jam. World War Two is not. I used to work when I was working at Reader's Digest. I worked with a historian who was he'd even sort of done his master's on World War Two. Um, I've always sort of seen World War One as the more pivotal war in certain ways. World War Two was kind of a no-brainer. There was a clear and present danger represented by some evil mothers in Italy and Germany and Japan. Like it was cut and dried. World War One was different in that there were so many sort of mutual defense treaties and pacts and stuff in Europe that it was like this web. And so that when Franz Ferdinand was taken out, it just hit a domino. Boop. And next thing you know, the greatest army in the world was marching through, through Europe, through Paris, through, it was kicking the crap out of the previous greatest army in the world, right? I mean, the French fought long and hard, but there was corruption at the top, and there were some generals that made stupid decisions, and the French army was still wearing previous century style uniforms, right? Red and blue, like they did on the plains of Abraham, and like the uniforms they gave to the Americans for their revolution, and like they wore on the battlefields of Waterloo, and they were still essentially wearing that. I mean, it was more modern looking, blah blah blah, but red and blue, right? Whereas the Germans which were at that point becoming the best army in the world, gray. They had modernized. They were doing gray. The British had modernized. They were doing khaki. They didn't stick out like a sore thumb the way the poor French did. And so, even though the French army was very, very good, they just couldn't compete against armies that had already modernized. The quality of the soldiering was great. The quality of the philosophies at the top were terrible. Something that it is at the top of my mind a lot these days, or at the back of my mind, not the top. At the back of my mind is that the most powerful military in the world always gets defeated eventually. The German army in World War One was the top. The Germans and the French were the two top militaries in the world. And the Germans kicked the crap out of the French. But most importantly, something that had changed between 1914, 15, 16, 17, all the way up to 18 and 1939, 19 to 1945 is that in World War One, the French and the German armies could really take a punch. Like you could just boom, and they would sort of pick themselves up, dust themselves off, and just keep marching. The armies under the Nazi Party in the 40s could not take a punch. When they were like lightning raids across Europe, just boom, blitzkrieg, rolling over everything, they were unstoppable. Again, they were probably the most powerful army in the world at the time. But as soon as somebody went bam, they started to just roll up. I mean, it was slow and bloody and hard, but they were not going to win that war. Also because they did not have the supply lines. They were never going to win that war. Ever. They were just going to, At the very beginning of the war, if that plan had stayed in place, they probably could have won it. But as soon as I still don't see it happening. I mean, it's useless to think about what could have been and whatever. But the German army in World War II could not take a punch. They could fight mean while backing up, but they were, once they got that first real sort of kick in the nuts, they would not have been able to pick up and just keep going the way the First World War German army could. Why am I getting? Anyways, I'm sort of getting distracted here. Hot sauce. I absolutely love me some hot sauce. Country boy loves snow. It's a day off work. You refuse to spend 3 to 4 hours or more trying to get around all the crashed idiots. I just stay home. I stayed home yesterday. I did not have a choice. Tenenbaum says, in a few weeks, I soon know I will publish a master's thesis on Passchendaele, which you can then share. That would be very interesting. Very interesting. Especially because, like, a few weeks after, you know, hold on. Sorry. A few weeks after the victory there, you know, it wasn't a really long-term victory, if I remember correctly. All right. Peanut Trucker is parked and has a root beer for the birthday boys. Nice. Oh. Destiny feels that Monte Cassino was part of the turning point of that war. I could see that for sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. I have to go see a man about a hearse. I'll be right back. I'm gonna mute this. I wanted to get some cheese since I was upstairs and I was off screen anyway. And I couldn't find any. So I took a coffee crisp instead. Fun size. There's no fun in this size. It's fun for us to give you like a quarter of the size of a chocolate bar. Hmm. Yeah, I could see for a newspaper, you can't really take a snow day. I've only ever worked for one newspaper. It was as a freelancer, and it was in like Alberta or Saskatchewan. I don't know, it was out west somewhere. It was very brief. BB and B History of the World Part 2. Oof. 28 hours is long because of the people who do not come to work. Yeah, that I would be salty. I'd be salty. You feel a little Mel Brooks seeping in? Now, why is that? Okay. Well, that's the thing, right? That's not fun size. That's small. Too small. Gotta have several at that size. Try to make that whiskey last as long as possible. I don't know what I was talking about. It was something boring though. Oh yeah, I was like blah 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 about war. I'm not even like I was gonna say I'm not even that into war, but I mean, of course not. Nobody's. Most people are not into war. Like I don't watch like all the war movies or read a whole bunch of war books or whatever. You know, I have read a few things, but they're just sort of they're pivot points. Like I said that for me in certain ways, the First World War was more of a pivot point than the second. What I meant by that, because I forgot to talk about it and explain what I meant by that, is that it was a bigger pivot point in the way warfare was conducted. Um, Up until like the very right through like the first year or maybe two of the First World War, there was still very much an officer and a gentleman sort of method of warfare. This is why that gas attack in 1915 was so shocking to the Allied side or the Entente side or whatever the hell they called it, the World War One version of the Allies. Um, there were still people on horses. I mean, even in the Second World War, the German army depended on horses, but it's because they did not have enough resources to build as many vehicles. But like there was still cavalry at the very early part of the First World War. The French army was still in red and blue. If you look at officers like admirals and generals, look at their uniforms. There was still that warfare was not that different than it was at Waterloo. And then there was the machine gun, and then there was gas, and then you know what I'm saying? Like that was a pivot point because you started the First World War. It could have been the previous war, could have been the Franco-Prussian almost kind of thing, but then note by note, everything just sort of went a little dissonant, and you transformed into 20th century warfare, and then the Second World War just built on that. It was not nearly the seismic shift that the First World War was. In the First World War, the British gave us tanks. Why are they called tanks? Well, because they had them in crates and transported them, and they didn't want spy planes to know what they were, so they wrote tanks on the boxes so that the German spy, aerial reconnaissance would think that it was great big barrels or tanks, for whatever liquids or whatever. creeping barrage, like an artillery creeping barrage. That was General Curry who came up with that idea. That you would have the artillery boom, 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 and then you would have your troops marching in right after. Not too close because you didn't want them to get taken out by artillery shells, but not too far either because you didn't want the enemy to have time to regroup. Air warfare. Before that, hot air balloons would go up sort of as a way of people to sort of see what was going on and like look at the enemy positions and blah, blah, blah. Air warfare. Brand new. Brand new. Chocolate covered pretzels are the best. You just had one. I do like a chocolate, but I like pretzels too. I love a pretzel. And oh man, my favorite is like those street vendor pretzels that are kind of like this bread with the rock salt on, and you get some of that crappy yellow mustard. Dude, they're not even that great, but I love them. I have memories, man, being in Vancouver, Stanley Park, walking up to one of those vendors and buying one for the first time, and just being like, this is the best thing I've ever had. And ever since then, like one of those, like, buying those pretzels with the mustard, man, I just takes me right back. And for a guy like me who has virtually no memories before his mid-20s, that's a strong one. That's a strong one. Stanley Park is amazing. I mean, if you like walking around with nature and stuff or along the seaboard. But that pretzel I had the first time, I don't even remember the name, the age I was, but I remember the feeling of that of having that pretzel in my hand and tasting it and thinking, yep. Yep. Scott says on 9/11 they were begging people to stay. We ran 3 special issues. Yeah, that was a big week for news for sure. Absolutely. Destiny has an ad. It was 4 minutes ago. Raven you were always interested in the World War I airplanes. So in Ottawa, there's an aerospace museum that I have not been to very often because it's in Ottawa, but I love it. In that museum are my 2 favorite aircraft of all time. There's a Spitfire, a Supermarine Spitfire, right next to a Lancaster. They were both from Canadian squadrons. And when we played a gig there for the Canadian Orthopedic Association or something, they were having the event there because you can rent it for events after hours. And I remember like, ooh, planes. Like they had the front cockpit and nose section of an Arrow, which the Canadians among us will probably still feel pangs about. And they have the world's only extant example of some German triplane from the First World War. It's not in terrific condition, but it's the only one we still got. And so I was walking around and looking at all these planes, and they've got like a CF-104 and all great stuff because I like old planes, like the Buffalo and stuff like that. Anyways, I came around the corner and there was a Spitfire. I was like, oh, wow. And then I looked right above it and like looming behind it and higher up was a Lancaster. And I was like, I could just die right now. I could just die. And I've heard both of them flying. Nothing sounds like them. Nothing. They were the poetry of air warfare, the swooping possibilities are exemplified in the Spitfire and the Lancaster like they are not in any other air. The Japanese Zero is a pretty elegant plane too, though. I mean, that was a real, that was a design. It was a ballerina, but no one else built with elegance like that. Yeah, I love those. I love the old planes. I find aircraft are like cars in that as soon as you started computerizing and using wind tunnels to design cars, they all started to look the same, and nothing's interesting anymore. And the same kind of thing, the same thing happened with planes. Like, airliners from the 1950s have this real swagger that airliners from the 2020s just don't. They all look the same. They all look sanitized. Whereas, you go back a few decades and everything's cool. Everything's beautiful. Everything has its own character, you know? And I've never wanted to be a pilot. I have a brother who's a pilot, but I've never wanted to be a pilot. But I have a real appreciation for those old planes, especially the ones with propellers on them. 2240. I'll pour a small dram. I mean, because we're celebrating birthdays tonight, right? I have no idea how boring I get when I sort of get distracted by one of those tangents like airplanes. Why are we talking about airplanes? It's a bushcraft show. It's not even a bushcraft show because we're not talking about bushcraft. We're talking about airplanes. It's an airplane show. It's not even an airplane show. It's a whiskey show. It's a birthday show. It's a nothing show. It's a Seinfeld show because there's nothing happening. It's not about anything. We're just chatting. We're just a little chat among friends with a little whiskey and a little tea because tea's a good drink. A little water because I need to drink my water. I sometimes think, I'm about to tangentialize again. To quote one of you, you know who you are. Sometimes my stream of consciousness needs a beaver dam. Hold on a second. My daughter is okay. Cody's leaving me a voicemail. What's she asking about? What is it that this girl? What is it this girl wants? Why is there downtime on my texts? I am guaranteeing I'm going to forget what I was about to tell you guys about. Totally going to forget because I'm wasting my time trying to figure out what's going on here. I know why. Okay, there we go. Sorry, guys. But she'll just. Okay. If I had the time to set up, I think I said last time that I would love to half of the episodes throughout the course of the year to be an interview or a panel discussion or where's that pile of stuff come from? Or have make a book club kind of thing, right? Where I don't know. I think about these things when I'm on my way to work or whatever, or just a random moment. This month we're all reading X or we're all reading Y or Z. This, for instance. He said, looking desperately for the book he's reading. Right, I showed this last time, right? All Elevations Unknown. It's half a travel log / climbing book and half a historical account of the British SAS officer, I believe, and Australian troops and locals who had really kicked the Japanese arse in Borneo at that, in previous. I mean, I don't have time to set up a freaking book club, and I don't even know if that's really as interesting as I think it would be to talk about a book like a bushcraft book or a homesteading book, or a book about building shelters or whatever. But I do I do have these moments where I have some ambition about these Tuesday night live streams. Crushing realism sort of flattens everything, of course, but yeah. Um, Russell always loved this huge portrait of a Spitfire soaring out of the clouds. Then Ray bought one and put it in his office. Love the Spitfire. It was just a painting, not a portrait. And portraits are like, Billy Bishop. Salt on the pretzels, rock salt. Chrissy's favorite thing is beer, cheese, and a good pretzel. I could do that as well. In a bar. Okay. Yes, country boy, I do agree. Hot pretzels with mustard is awesome. Apparently, David says that the Amish make the best pretzels in Lancaster, PA. I have never been there. Christy would like him to send her one. Peanut butter balls covered in chocolate are my faves. Can't call them what the folks in Ohio call them. I'm from Michigan. Fair enough. Russell says, me and City Girls' date night was wings and beer and watching half a Raptors game. We loved it. I do not like wings. Oh, at a Wild Wings restaurant. Excuse me. Oh, no, with the yawning. We had our favorite seats at the bar in front of one particular TV. We hated when someone took them. Creatures of habit. It's like, these were our seats. Yeah, was it that? I don't remember. I don't remember what it was. I would like to go back to that museum again. I've only been there like 3 times. If you could collect lighthouses, you would. Like, you mean buying the properties, or you mean buying models of the lighthouses and pictures and stuff? Because I mean, collecting lighthouses, that's a pretty like oligarch thing to do. That's Raven's favorite plane. Russell said, I would also collect lighthouses. I'd put them under my pillow. That sounds like an uncomfortable pillow to sleep on. David says that the RAF Museum north of London is amazing, worth going to see. That is good to know. I will note that for if I'm ever in England. We should have done cabins tonight. I was afraid to suggest it because I don't know how much work it is for you, Russell, to put those cabins apart together. Maybe what we should have done was airplanes. Here's a picture of a Fokker. Here's a picture of a Spitfire. Here's a picture of a Hurricane. Here's a picture of the Mosquito. That's a cool plane. Here's a picture. We should have done cabins tonight. Jim says, I work on an old Air Force base. A museum here has an SC-35, an SC-5A RAF biplane. Saab with Camel is probably the most famous of the British, the Allied biplane. Squirrel is why you get distracted. Why you gotta be like that? His phone is like, swipe right for 5 squirrels near you. Gross. Talking airplanes, then bushcraft planes, then bushcraft. See? Yep, I get it. I do. By the way, I do love a bush plane. You know, with the float planes. My brother used to be a bush pilot. Then he was then he worked for First Air, which was a First Nations owned airline. Was it Inuit? No, it's First Nations airline that was based, I believe, in Yellowknife. And then he moved on to helicopters. Bush planes. Rain dance, bushcraft, planes. With my logo on the tail. Boom. Collectibles. Lanterns, lighthouses, fire watch towers, anything off the fizz. You can never have too many. That philosophy gives me the ick now, but I'll roll with it for the sake of the oh no, you can never have too many lanterns. I don't really believe that, but there are a couple that I would like to get, like some real nice classics. I'd like another Coleman. He said, "I'm not." I always feel, for the same reason as I didn't share my Amazon wish lists with you guys, even though I love seeing people's wish lists. Like anyone can show me their wish list, and I'll just because I like looking at what they would like to have, but I never feel like I have to buy something from the wish list for them. But I'm afraid to share my wish list because I always feel that people who no. I feel that if I was to share my wish list, somebody out there would feel that that was me asking to be sent something, which is not the case. I'm saying this because I just said there's a few lanterns I would still like. And I have been gifted 2 lanterns. So I have to say that whenever I'm saying I'm getting an ad, that when I say I would really like X, I am not hinting that you guys should give me X. I talk very stream of consciousness, extremely so. And when like there's a couple of fountain pens I would love to have too, but that doesn't mean I want somebody to buy them for me. I do try to manifest things, but the way I see manifesting an axe or a knife that I would like to have, what I'm trying to manifest is being in the position where I can buy that thing. And that's why I'm afraid to share my wish list, because I don't want people to like start thinking that I want them to buy me stuff. I would love to hear opinions on, okay, this is on your wish list, but this version of that is actually better for the price. That kind of thing, you know? Why am I talking about this? Oh, because of Destiny saying collectibles. Most of us don't have time to read. I have time to read right now because I don't have access to a car. So I have to take the bus to, and okay, it's a perfect storm. I don't have access to a car because the madame is working somewhere that she needs to drive to, because a public transit would just take way too long. So I don't have access to a car, and I've been mandated to go to work 3 days a week instead of 2, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. So, and it takes me an hour and a half to get to and from work on 2 buses and a metro. So I finally have time to read. And I have been trying to start reading again forever. Because here's the thing. When I was a kid, hiding from the other kids, essentially, I had no friends. I was like a 2-book a week kind of kid. Then, excuse me, I started to work to help pay my way through university. And after university, I I started working in publishing, and as soon as I started working in publishing, where I was reading and writing all day, my willingness to read books after having read spreads for a magazine or for a book that I was working on, it's just like I spend all day reading. I'm not reading tonight, kind of thing, and it wrecked my enjoyment. But I've been wanting to get back into reading for a long time because I really do feel that in the world we live in, I try to explain this to Camille because she's not an avid reader. She's not even a non-avid reader. She doesn't like to read. She wants to play basketball and dance and stuff. I try to say, listen, look at the kids around you in class. The nerd who's always got a book out is going to control your life one day. And all the kids who, like you, are playing basketball and not reading are going to be the controlled. Because the kid who's doing the reading is developing their mind in a way that you will not be able to compete with. And it feels like telling her that without reading, it just felt kind of like lying. And I used to love books. I still love books. I love a paper book. I love the smell of the paper. I love the feel of the paper, I could lose a half day in a bookstore, especially one with the bushcraft section. Oh, we're at 22:55. What the hell? Time sure flies when I'm being a boring fuck. The whiskey she is finished, and I am not pouring another one. You can leave, David. If you need to leave, you can go. We're 4 minutes to the end, so it's confusing, but you can do it. Yes, you can leave without offending Jess. Add? Okay, yeah, I got one too. Peanut trucker says anything with peanut butter is the best. I do love peanut butter. However, I think I've said to you before that I like the 100% peanut stuff that you have to kind of mix and then put it in the fridge upside down so it doesn't re-separate. Love that. Destiny says, what I find interesting is certain collectibles still retain a distinct energy of the original owner. Such an interesting phenomenon. So something that I dearly loved as a kid and lost thanks to a thieving upstairs neighbor and would buy again in a Montreal minute if he could afford it was the Transformers Generation 1 Jetfire. I sometimes come across it on eBay and they're like $400, but I'm like, I miss Jetfire because he was stolen from me and I wasn't bored with him yet. I wasn't done with him. He was still new. A few months old. And like Jetfire was a straight up copy of a Macross robot. If I could afford the original, the Japanese Macross version, that would be great too. But man, and that's a collectible now, so I'm never going to be able to afford it. I'm never going to be able to afford the original 1980s era Millennium Falcon that I destroyed in a fit of pique as a kid with anger issues, or the X-Wing, same deal from the early 80s. Like there's a lot of I don't need toys. I'm 52 years old, but I still love Lego because of how what it twigs in my neurodivergent mind. Lego I'm talking about is sacred to me. It just boom, like snap. And there are certain toys that left my possession in ways that I was not ready to participate in, that I would like to have them again, not to play with them, but to sort of maybe hang them from the ceiling or something and just have them again. Just like it's going to be okay. I didn't break you with a hammer because I was a kid with anger issues, or I didn't lose you to a thieving upstairs neighbor. So childish. Anyway, let's move on because it's embarrassing. Don't like wings. The wings that kind of look like tiny little drumsticks, I'm okay with. It's the other ones I don't like. But I don't like. I'm very victimized by textures, and I don't like the fact that I use my hands and like and then I've got all this schmutz all over my hands. Yeah, nothing. I don't like anything like that. Destiny, I agree. That's a good QQ. You don't like wings? What is wrong with you? I just said. You could also unite 50% of my household. The remaining 25% is too young. But yeah, the other two love wings. Country boy too. What is up with you peoples? Canadian oligarch. Yeah, I know. It's no work to do cabins if we're doing AI cabins. Yeah. Okay, that's good to know. Although, I mean, some of those AI cabins make me think I would love to build that exact cabins. But some of the non-AI ones are the most enchanting because that exists somewhere in this world. Must love wings. Whatever. Okay, I gotta be me. All right, I gotta be true to myself. Canadian oligarch lighthouse at your service. I love lighthouses too, by the way. I would love to live in one if I didn't have to worry about income. If I ever won like 30 million bucks, I would be unstoppably cool. To me. What? I did not know that sparkling water ice cubes could be so volatile. One just busts all over the place. Jeez, I did not know you could even make such a thing. Oh, it's 2301. So hold on. Let me just scroll to the bottom. Off-Grid Recon saying hi. How you doing, Off-Grid? Nice of you to show up and give us a little wave hello. How are you doing tonight? I mean, okay, you showed up a while ago, like at 10:52, but yeah, nice to see you. And I hope the weather is treating you well where you are. Jim says, I have a lighthouse lamp. Pull on your ceiling fan in the bedroom. It's a miniature of the lighthouse we can see on the point in our town. That's pretty cool. Jim has painted many paintings of that lighthouse. Russell said, when I had to ride the ghost train every day for an hour, I'd bring a briefcase so I could lean over it in my lap and sleep. I have slept on the metro before many times. Scott says the last book he read was Green Eggs and Ham. Okay. Was that recent, or are you making a point about how long it's been? David says that audiobooks and podcasts are his jam. So I tried the audiobook of The Silmarillion because I have failed to read it like 4 times, and I failed to listen to it as well. It is not about how hard it is to read. It is about the content. Pam reads about 4 books a week. Yeah, I like to read. I like to read. Excuse me. Raspberry Rock. Mr. Russell says, I love a good audiobook for a long drive. May I suggest Neuromancer? Neuromancer was a killer book. I read it on paper. Who reads the audiobook for Neuromancer? I did not even notice that you wrote Necromancer. Best opening line of a book, period. Yeah, Tenenbaum's a small difference for sure. No, David's still here. Nice. I'm just scrolling to the bottom because it's time for me to shut her down, go the hell to bed. I love this. David says, Pam is good. She just came home today from her Italy trip. Took me all day to wash the dishes. I love that because that is the most male thing I have read all night. Although I'm pretty good at keeping the dishes. I tell a lie. But yeah, when the missus is coming home soon, I do like this super fast, like, okay, kitchen, laundry, make change the bed sheets because if she's been away for a week, make sure I do the weekly wash. Christy says, okay, I'm tired. I am tired as well. So here's the thing. We're just going to say goodnight. I'm just making sure that Destiny says, so cabins next live, not next, because next live is going to be with Canoe Hound Outdoors. Even Destiny saying, bonsoir et bisous. All right, everyone, it is now 23:06. I am going to bed so that I can be up bright and early, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed tomorrow. And I hope that all of you are... No, let's do it right. Between now and next Tuesday, everybody, please be healthy, be safe, be sane, and be kind to one another. Good night, all.